When I was looking out of that helicopter window, I guess I still believed in the romantic notion of a wilderness. An area not yet affected by humans.
It's April of '94. I saw this magazine article about this new mysterious place called Kamchatka, where there were huge trout, no people, the wilderness was untouched.
Until 1991, the Kamchatka Peninsula was a closed military zone. But when Soviet fell apart, the gigantic wilderness area opened up. Fly fishing junkie Will Blair entered Russia. After a few summers fishing dozens of remote rivers on the peninsula, he stumbled upon the Ozernaya, in his words, perhaps the best trout river in the world.
Yeah!
He teamed up with old Russian KGB agent and bear hunter Viktor Rebikov and started a business. Their idea was selling fly fishing trips to the river, and their unique selling point? The river was untouched like nothing you can find in America or Europe. Almost 15 years later, I, Rolf Nylinder, and my friend Peter Christensen were sitting in a helicopter together with a group of Americans traveling towards a tiny wooden camp on the bank of the Ozernaya.
Mr. Blair.
Hi, I'm Will Blair. Hi, Jeff. For me personally, it's almost like meditation coming out here. I fall into a different sequence or a different pace of life that I have nowhere else. It is quiet and loud at the same time.
Well, as you know, the mass media makes it easy to see the very best of a location, of a river or fishery. So I tried to temper my enthusiasm a little bit. It was difficult to do and think, well, nothing can be as good as what I saw on video. But the reality was it was better. We're in a massive wilderness area where the only sound you hear from your fishing buddy or your guide or the bear that's walking down the bank. And so you feel utterly isolated in a great way. In your mind, you're trying to preserve it, to keep it, but then it seems to get supplanted the next day when you go and experience it all over again, and you just hope you can keep it all straight. And my cameras don't really seem to do it justice.
Wilderness, знаете, в детстве мои родители читали мне сказки, и в сказках были герои, как медведь, животные. И про дремучие леса, про холмы. И, знаете, только здесь я, наверное, ощутил и вспомнил эти сказки, потому что это великолепнейшее место, где ты можешь за 5 минут увидеть порядка 10 разных медведей, которые ходят вокруг тебя, и только здесь ты начинаешь понимать.
What's it mean to me? It means it's like the last place.
Hey there. Oh, there it is. It's right down here. There's a monster fucking rainbow right down here. It's the biggest rainbow I've seen. Oh, careful, careful, careful. It's right next to the bank. Right down there. And it's monstrous. Oh my fucking god. Oh my fucking god. How do we catch that? I think I can catch it from up there. Come on. Oh, there's a chum coming for it. Oh, don't eat it. No, no, spit it. Oh, it's coming. Yeah! Oh! Yeah! Oh! Whoa, it's big! Oh! Shit! Oh, shit! Oh, no. Oh, oh no. Yeah! Look at this rainbow! Kamchatka, man. What a place.
Most fly fishers come here because of the insane trout fishing. But the less appreciated and ugly chum is really one of the true heroes in the river. Together with the other salmon species, the chum are the foundation of the entire ecosystem. Every summer, the salmon arrive to spawn and then die in the upper Ozernaya. When they run upstream, they carry millions of pounds of nutrition from the sea to the headwaters. If there wasn't an abundance of salmon, everything else would just be a shadow of what it is. The bears, they really need the salmon. Of course, they could just eat vegetation if there was no salmon. But then all the vegetation along the riverbanks grows there because of the rich soil. And the soil is rich due to nutrition from the salmon. Virtually every life form in the whole ecosystem hinges on the salmon.
You can look at this place and say, this is what it's meant to be. This is what we have. This is what we should have. How do we, it's one of the, in the Pacific Northwest, one of the fascinating things, we're taking the dams down, we're doing all this stuff to try and get things back into balance, and yet I don't think we have a real keen understanding of all the machinations of moving parts that create an imbalanced, strong ecosystem such as Oz. Take out the salmon, it's all gone.
The Ozernaya is not like the areas we call wilderness in Europe and America. It's not a protected park. It's wild, for real. These rich ecosystems and the absence of civilization attract two kinds of people. Those who want to preserve and those who want to exploit.
Russian mentality is that many years poaching was like a bread for families. It's food. But now poaching start to do it for commercial, not for food.
Poacher is this ugly word. You know, I've always been very reticent about using it because you say there's a poacher on the river and people think there's no fish. So I just noticed this last week. Wasn't here a couple years ago. You see these contraptions everywhere there's a poaching camp.
In the world, there are regions where the criminal activity is an important part of the local economy. Kamchatka is one of them. And this criminal activity is poaching for salmon eggs, for salmon caviar. This is not just some individuals which are trying to earn some money. It's a criminal system, we could say mafia, which is harvesting maybe a third, maybe a half of all salmon harvested in Kamchatka. It's a lot. And the money flow is counted in millions.
So the most important part of the poaching camp is this right here. Put cheesecloth on here and skein the eggs into a bucket underneath.
Oh, it's very popular in Russia. People love caviar. They eat caviar like every morning. It's very healthy food. But we should understand we should do this less and less every year because eggs, you know, it's the future fish. They don't use the meat. They just take eggs, and we are losing population more and more.
We know of one poaching camp that's active right now. The ones I've seen that have been worse have been on other rivers, like the next one north here, and we came down and there were probably 10,000 dead silvers. You know, a stack of silvers this deep. It was just disgusting. That day I found 9 dead brown bears, all with their heads cut off, their paws cut off, and their gallbladders taken, laying all over. It was a mess. Nets everywhere. 5 minutes later, this boat comes out, old Russian boat, and guy pulls up, and it was just full of eggs. That's the next big drainage north here. I can't imagine what kind of condition that river's in now because there's just no one on it but them. The more presence we have on the river, the less of this we've seen year after year after year after year. We passed a place downriver that the first year there was a significant poaching camp. They're gone. Haven't seen them in almost 10 years now. I would like there to be other good outfitters over here. There's room for other people to be here. If 5,000 people came here and there were half a dozen real viable, strong, ecologically minded outfitters, we could save all kinds of cool stuff.
In many ways, Kamchatka was the untouched wilderness we had dreamt of. But the cynic in me was beginning to understand that wilderness, in its purest form, is gone for a while from this world. And so the trip ends in a paradox. The area we thought was the wildest place on earth depends not only on the salmon, but also on humans to protect it from other humans. The nagging question is, are fly fishers enough?
I'm cautiously pessimistic. I think that the pressure for money in Russia is so strong. It's going to be really, really a challenge to protect everything.
Some people ask if fly fishing could protect the salmon runs. Yes, they could, but they should be getting rights to hire armed guards and actually to enforce the fishing law. What's happening? The existing fish police, fish inspection, doesn't have enough people to protect the entire system with over 1,000 of rivers and lakes with salmon.
Oh, there's one thing I forgot to mention. This summer, a mining company started building a bridge across the Ozernaya to facilitate access to a gold field in the headwaters. And it seems like nobody really knows what's gonna happen to the river.
If something goes wrong, it could be killing the entire ecosystem, entire river ecosystem. If we use the Hollywood cliché about the Kamchatka nature, I think the best saying will be, "We are losing her."
I'm not a miner. I'm not a, don't know all about that, but
where are we now? I mean, in Kamchatka, in Ozernaya. When I'm sleeping here, I see another dreams. I told you about that when my mom and dad told me some kind of story, magical story. Over here, I understand what they are trying to tell me. If we don't show our children's the wild natures, we lose our soul. I think so.
my biggest fear is that when my daughter, who's 7 now, when she's 20, these places will be forever changed. Because in her life, if things don't change, this place will change. And she'll be forced. She'll be forced to see, like I'm seeing. She'll be forced to see the destructive nature of man. And it seems unstoppable.